All right, APUS history exams about to come soon. You know what else is about to come soon? Type Soul. So let's combine the two so we can study for our APUS history exam and get a 6 on the LEQ. Now, me personally, I think the LEQ is much harder than the DBQ because with the DBQ you can finally kind of figure out what's happening. With the LEQ, you just get the question and nothing else. So let's just get straight to the point and let's waste no time. So evaluate to the extent to which world tickets transform type so after April 15th, 2024. So basically, this is just asking you to determine how much world tickets just changed type so. So we want to break this down into three parts. You can do two parts, but if you want to get the complexity point, it's at least three and a counter argument, or maybe just two and a counter argument, right? So I'm going to be breaking this down socially, politically, and economically. So I'm just gonna write down what I already know, which is that world tickets allowed you to visit the AFK world, letting you get rewards passively. And passively is just different from playing the game. Like AFK, well, AFK world is passive. So passive is different from active playing, which is active playing, I would say, is clan wars and ranked, right? Because those gave you rewards too, but it was much harder because you could lose, right? World tickets had an initial cost of 1,000 Robux. I don't know why I put initial. It stayed the same. They were giving out some points through codes. They tanked demand and value. They updated the loophole of AFK World at a later update, which included drops exclusive to Clan Wars and Ranked, Solian Streak. I didn't include Solian Streak in my essay, but I was just writing down anything I remembered just to kind of get my brain working and like trying to remember more and more. Almost every item weapon obtainable is obtainable through AFK World. That is true. And Game Pass items are not obtainable through AFK World. That is also true. So let's write down our thesis statement. Although X, which is our counter argument that we will be including for the complexity point, because A, B, and C, evidence 1, 2, and 3, this therefore led world tickets to transform types so economically, socially, and politically after April 15th, 2024. So evidence 1, 2, and 3 are just basically what you're using to determine political, social, and economical changes, right? And I'll showcase more of that later in the thing. So first, let's write our contextualization. Before AFK World was added, the only ways to obtain items and types were through playing game through game modes, basically ranked and clan wars. I'm just gonna try to sum this up because it's very long, right? So and then I'm just gonna say you know because it was active playing ranked in clan wars, it helped boost the economy because it allowed some items to be pretty rare and other items to be not as rare, if that makes sense, right? So then AFK World gets added after April 15th, and they were a game pass that allowed you to visit I mean, sorry. World tickets get added after April 15th, and they allowed you to visit AFK World, which allowed you to grind items passively without having to play clan wars and rank to get rewards. However, they were worth 1,000 Robux, and you needed to spend real life money for them. But AFK Worlds in the beginning, when they first released, actually didn't give you a lot of items. They were actually pretty limited in the items that it gave you, which I actually thought was pretty good because it allowed some items to still be rare and the lesser rare items to be not as rare, which is like pretty good, right? So, not only that, world tickets would actually be given out through codes, a reward system in the game that let anyone redeem if they were at a certain level, affecting the demand of world tickets themselves because a lot of people had them, right? So, this right here, this whole thing is being set up to be your counter argument, which you will need for the complexity point. And then I followed up with saying this all stayed the same until a certain update, which increased the loophole and allowed for almost all items to be obtained, making it so that grinding items passively was just way better than playing ranked or clan wars, right? And then I'm just saying this caused a huge change in the value list as items were easier to get and that items were once rare in the game immediately dropped and items that weren't seen as rare went up to the top, right? So let's finally get to the thesis statement. I put down, although world tickets when they first came out barely gave any good items, which is our counter argument, because of being common and usually given out through codes, the loophole expanding in a future update, and the only way to be obtained other than codes was to purchase it with Robux. This therefore led world tickets to transform type so economically, socially, and politically after April 15th, 2024. So that is our thesis statement, and we're just basically giving we're just setting it up for our body paragraphs, right? And we're going to be using our TEA. If you watched Heinlein history, you know what TEA is, which is thesis statement, evidence, and analyze, right? So our first is world tickets transform type so economically after April 15th, 2024. I put down one example of an economic change is the loophole for world tickets being expanded in a later update. And basically, I just said that it just led items to be easier to get and it was the superior option and allowed for passive playing to be superior and the better option, which demonstrated that it changed from active playing to be the way how to get rewards to passive playing to be the way how to get rewards, which demonstrates a change, right? Which is what you need to answer the question, right? So that is what you would say for that, right? But like I'm just trying to show you that you need to demonstrate a change. You need to demonstrate in your body paragraphs that a change is happening. And later you are going to need to present also another body paragraph where a continuity is happening, right? So let's just continue on. World tickets transform type so socially after April 15, 2024. One example of a social change is how world tickets increased in demand. I just said that world tickets were more sought after, which allowed players to move away from clan wars and ranked, which changed type so socially because everybody was in AFK world more to get the rewards. Then it's time for the political body paragraph. And this one, I actually kind of had to think about this a little bit. And I just put that world tickets were 1,000 Robux, which means that basically pay to win players just had more, chances of becoming richer. And the free to play players, they don't have like 10,000 Robux to spend on like 10 world tickets. So, however, this is where our counter argument comes in, right? However, world tickets also showed a political continuity after April 15, 2024. Political continuity, well, just continuity in general just means the same. It continues, right? So that is our counter argument. We are on our counter argument paragraph. And I put one example of political continuity is how world tickets were attainable through another way, codes, right? So I put that it changed because world tickets were 1,000 Robux and that you kind of had to buy them just to obtain them. Well, there was another way, codes, right? Which allowed pretty much anybody to get these world tickets. Where I put right here with only one prerequisite, which is having account max level. This made it so that world tickets had another way to be attained easily without having to purchase with real money. However, you want to prove why this counter argument is weak and that a change is actually more like um it just makes more sense, right? So you want to just I guess address it like yeah, some things did say the same, but however there was more of a general change, right? So, however, world tickets showed a political change more because these world tickets that were given out not only couldn't be traded, but were also limited in how many you could use, meaning that you had to wait for every update, which took weeks to only obtain one or two. Not only that, sometimes codes did even include world tickets, anyways. And that is the end of my entire LEQ. This took me about more than an hour to write, which isn't the best pace, but I mean, my contextualization was really long, so it kind of makes sense, right? But however, um, I used ChatGPT to grade this, which wasn't the best option, but I'm pretty sure every AI is like I don't even know. Do I get like an actual teacher to grade this? I don't know if they'll know anything about type soul. Well, do I get Heimler to grade this? I don't know. But I asked ChatGPT, hey, how did I do on this? Like graded like it's an LEQ from the APU's history, and it said I did hit every single point, giving me a 6 out of 6, even including the complexity point. So, APU's history students, it's not that hard to get the complexity point. Do not worry about LEQs and DBQs. you will pass this exam. And I hope this kind of demonstrated how you apply some stuff. Enjoy. And good luck on May 9th.